What's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home Buying 101. In this video, I thought I'd cover one of the most common questions that I think almost everyone asks themselves at some point, and that is, should I rent or should I buy? Now, to cut to the chase, I think there's only one answer to this question, and that is, you should buy. However, there is one important caveat, and that's when you should go about buying. Depending on your current situation, you may not be in a personal or financial position to buy a home. However, I do believe that buying a home has many long-term and short-term benefits, as well as is one of the greatest paths to wealth that can be for you and your family. In this video, I'll cover some of the pros and cons of both renting and buying, and hopefully can give you a few tips to start thinking about what you can start doing to prepare for buying a home if you're not quite ready right now. First, I thought I'd cover the pros and cons of buying a home. Now, there's a reason that buying a home is part of the American dream. If you buy your home, it is guaranteed that you will build equity over time as you pay off your mortgage. This means that the longer you go about paying off your mortgage and eventually when it's fully paid off, you own that home outright, and that equity is something you can pull upon if you need to make another purchase, or down the line, if you hold on to it until you retire, you can draw upon and have that comfortable retirement that I know everyone wants. A second, more immediate benefit to owning a home is the fact that there are tax benefits to it. Now, there are things like being able to write off the depreciation of your home or write off the interest that you pay in your mortgage. There are direct things on a year-to-year basis you can write off, and is more money in your pocket from a tax perspective. A third benefit to buying a home that I think people appreciate is there's greater privacy and independence when it's your home versus when you're renting. When it's your home, you can make any changes you want to the house because it's something you own within code and legal limits, as well as the fact that you have privacy. There's no one that can give you a notice to say they need to come in and do their maintenance check or things like that. Those are all things you're in control of because it's your house. Lastly, I think one of the biggest benefits to buying a home is the stability it provides. When you buy a home, you have the option to have a fixed interest rate loan, which means you know what your payment's going to be from your first payment all the way to your last payment, and you own your home outright. This allows you to have the stability of knowing what your financial position is going to be in your house, and you can focus on other things to make sure that you're setting yourself and your family up for the best financial position possible. Although there's a lot of benefits to buying a home, I wanted to cover some of the cons, or at least considerations that you should go into when you're buying a home. The first one is the cost associated with it. A lot of people know that there usually is a down payment that you have to provide when you're buying a home. There's also another expense that a lot of people forget about, which is the closing costs. These are one-time expenses that you're going to have to pay that you're giving to either the bank or the lender who's actually allowing you to purchase the home with the loan they provide you. A second consideration that you need to take into account is the fact that you're a little more tied down to your home when you buy it versus when you rent it. In terms of you actually being able to sell a house, there's more that goes into it. So there's financial considerations if you may have to actually put some money into fixing up the home before you sell it, or if it is ready to sell, you actually have to go about the home sale process, which can take up to months, depending on how quickly you're able to find a buyer and close. A third con when it comes to buying a home is the fact that it's not a very liquid investment, which means basically that if you are comparing it to a stock where you can buy and sell in the same day and get your cash out, with a home, it takes longer to sell and it takes longer for you to pull out that equity that you do have. A last consideration you need to have when you're buying a home is the shift in mentality from when you're a renter to a buyer when it comes to maintenance. When you're a renter, a lot of times you can either call your property manager or the homeowner and let them know of something that's wrong, and they tend to take care of it. However, when it's your home, you're responsible for that, and you need to make sure that you are fixing these things either yourself or getting a well-qualified person who can come in and take care of these issues for you. Although I believe home ownership is the best route for everyone, I did want to cover some of the pros and cons of renting because that is a viable option for some people at certain points. In terms of renting, one of the biggest pros is the lower upfront costs you have to deal with. When you're renting, more often than not, the only cash you need to have available is to be able to cover a security deposit and a first month's rent. Additionally, as we talked about earlier, In terms of costs, a lot of the maintenance is covered by the property manager or homeowner, and those are things that you're not held responsible for. Lastly, for those who may not have as certain of a future of where they want to or will need to live in the near future, the renting ends up being one of the better options because you can sign shorter term leases or even be month to month, so that as you start to figure out where you're going to be long term, you have that flexibility to be able to pack up and go move when you need to. However, there are some cons to renting as well, which are a lot of the inverse of what we talked about for home ownership. You can't make a lot of changes to the property if you want to do it without either getting authorization from the landlord or paying fees for fixing it when you need to return it back to that state. You're not building equity over time, and in fact, your payments are usually going towards someone else who does own it and helping them pay down their loan. You have less stability in terms of knowing what you're going to pay because rents can be increased year over year at a certain rate, and long term, you may even get priced out of your apartment and have to go to a cheaper apartment or home where you actually feel like you're getting less for your money. And lastly, there's less privacy. A homeowner or property manager can give you a written notice and let you know they have to come into your home, and per the lease, usually they're well within their rights and you have to let them in. Even if you decide now is not the time for you to buy, it's never too early to start preparing. You can do things like educating yourself on the home buying process, talking to a real estate agent who can help you understand a little bit more about what you will actually be doing with them as you search for a home, or talking to a qualified lender, which will help you understand your financial position now, as well as what you will be required to have in the future when it does come time for you to buy a home. I hope you found this video helpful, and it helps you kind of sort out a little bit more on that question of whether you should be renting or buying, or long-term, what you need to be doing to start preparing to buy in the future. Make sure to press the like button if you like this video, as well as subscribe so that you can get future videos that talk about the home buying process or finance in general. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.